Very good morning, friends. I hope you're all safe and healthy. Now, in this new year, I thought of doing something new. And what I've done, starting from the previous video, I thought of, directly picking up the text of the standard and elaborating certain key paragraphs which are given in the standard. And I thought, let me start with the very first standard, and that is Ind AS 1. In the previous video, what I did, I covered the aspect of para number 60 dealt along with the para number 63 and para number 64. Wherein we understood the concept in terms of classifying the assets and liability in terms of current and non-current. Now, in this particular video, what I'm going to cover, I'm just going to cover the para number 66. This para number 66 is actually dealing with the concept of classification of assets in terms of current and non-current in nature. Now, what are the parameters with the help of which we will decide whether a particular asset is current or non-current in nature? Let's find this in detail in terms of interpretation of the para number 66. CA फाइनल के लिए प्लस बैचेस के अलावा अनअकैडमी पर आपको आइकॉनिक बैचेस भी मिलेंगे। इन आइकॉनिक बैचेस के आपको फीचर्स बताने से पहले आपको ज़रा ये बताया जाए कि इनके प्लान्स की कॉस्ट क्या है, क्योंकि कॉस्टिंग बहुत ही आप कह सकते हैं रीजनेबल है और इसके अंदर जो आपको फीचर्स मिल रहे हैं उसके मुकाबले ये एडिशनल कॉस्ट कुछ भी नहीं है। तो पहले ज़रा मैं आपको इन प्लान्स के बारे में बता दूं। अगर आप आइकॉनिक सब्सक्रिप्शन के अंदर प्लान करते हैं सीए फाइनल ग्रुप 1 का, तो अलग अलग प्लान्स अवेलेबल हैं 36 मंथ्स, 24 मंथ्स और 12 मंथ्स के लिए। 12 मंथ्स के अंदर आपको सीए फाइनल ग्रुप 1 के सभी 4 सब्जेक्ट्स की जो इफेक्टिव कॉस्ट पर मंथ बैठती है वो आपको आएगी 2375 अ मंथ। और अगर सीए फाइनल ग्रुप 2 को आप अवेल करते हैं तो उसके अंदर भी प्लान्स बिल्कुल सेम कॉस्ट पे हैं। बल्कि अगर आप दोनों ग्रुप्स प्लान करते हैं तो इसके अंदर डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द ड्यूरेशन, मान लीजिए अगर आप 36 मंथ्स का प्लान लेते हैं तो आपकी 8 पेपर्स को लेके जो पर मंथ कॉस्ट आएगी दैट इज अराउंड 1833 अ मंथ। अब ये जानते हैं कि इसके अंदर आपको एडिशनल फीचर्स क्या मिलेंगे। तो एडिशनल फीचर्स की अगर आपसे बात करें तो इसके अंदर 1:1 आपको पर्सनल कोचिंग मिलेगी। इसके अंदर आपको 1:1 डाउट सॉल्विंग सेशंस मिलेंगे। इवैल्यूएटेड टेस्ट सीरीज होंगी जिनके बारे में अभी आपको बताऊंगा। प्रिंटेड बुक्स आपको मिलेंगी फॉर ऑल दी सब्जेक्ट्स जो भी आप इसके अंदर सब्सक्रिप्शन लेते हैं। ग्रुप 1 तो चारों सब्जेक्ट्स और ग्रुप 1 की बुक्स, अगर आप दोनों लेते हैं तो ग्रुप 1 ग्रुप 2 सभी की बुक्स, और साथ में इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट सेशंस आपको मिलेंगे। एंड यू विल ऑल्सो गेट कनेक्टेड टू अ कम्युनिटी थ्रू डिस्कॉर्ड। ये सब कुछ आपको उसी सब्सक्रिप्शन रेट्स में मिलेगा जो अभी आपने देखे। साथ में 1:1 लाइव मेंटरिंग आपको मिलेगी जिसके अंदर आपको एक पर्सनलाइज्ड लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस मिलेगा। Just at a click of the button, you would be able to discuss all your doubts and clarify your concepts immediately before exams and even otherwise. डेली बेसिस पर आपके साथ लाइव क्वेरीज ली जाएंगी जिस पर आपके साथ एक्सपर्ट सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स जुड़ेंगे और इसके अंदर आपके डाउट्स क्लियर करेंगे। एक कस्टमाइज्ड स्टडी प्लान आपको दिया जाएगा और इसके साथ साथ आपको आर्टिकलशिप के अंदर गाइडेंस भी दी जाएगी। दिस इज ऑल लाइव मेंटरिंग इन आइकॉनिक प्रोग्राम्स। टेस्ट सीरीज के बारे में बात करें तो आपको इसके अंदर एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड टेस्ट सीरीज मिलेंगे। 40% कोर्स कंप्लीशन के बाद आपका टेस्ट कंडक्ट होगा, उसकी एक पर्सनलाइज्ड फीडबैक आपको शेयर की जाएगी। उसके बाद फिर अनदर 40% पर आपको फिर से एक टेस्ट कंडक्ट होगा और उस पर एक फिर पर्सनलाइज्ड फीडबैक दी जाएगी सो दैट यू कैन कंटिन्यूअसली इंप्रूव बिफोर यू गो फॉर द मेन एग्जाम्स। 100% कोर्स कंप्लीशन के बाद फिर से आपके पास एक टेस्ट कंडक्ट किया जाएगा, एक फुल लेंथ अंडर एग्जामिनेशन kind of situation so that you get continuous improvement for your exams. ये मैंने आपको प्लान्स की ऑलरेडी कॉस्ट दे दी है। इन प्लान्स को सब्सक्राइब करने के लिए लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिलेगा जिनमें आप इन प्लान्स में डिपेंडिंग अपॉन योर बजट आप उन्हें सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हैं। तो भाई इंतजार किस बात का है, फटाफट से प्लानिंग कीजिए and let's crack it. Well, if I quote the para number 66, you can see that there are a total of 4 clauses which are given in para number 66. It very clearly says an entity shall classify an asset as current when A, B, C, D is given. And then it says an entity shall classify all other assets as non-current in nature. When I look at the para number 66, what comes to the mind at the first instance is that when you're looking at ABCD, I mean, do you need to meet any one of them? Yes, of course. And if you say that any one is met, then it is certainly current in nature. And if you fail all the four, then you can say that it becomes something which is non-current in nature. But is it a matter of chance? Is it a matter of choice that you would, try to meet A, B, C, D? Well, I would say it all depends upon the nature of the item which we are talking of. Now, if you look at the clause number A, it says it expects to realize the asset or it intends to sell or consume it in the normal operating cycle. The focus in terms of clause number A is the normal operating cycle of the business. Once you calculate the operating cycle of the business, then we can say that anything which goes in the computation of the operating cycle, mind the words. When you calculate an operating cycle, you consider the inventory holding period, you consider the debt collection period. So what goes in the calculation of the operating cycle is undoubtedly current in nature. There is a misconception when many people think that if the operating cycle of the business is more than 18 months, then in that particular case, certain items of debtors could be non-current in nature. No. Even if your debt collection period is supposed to be, let's say, greater than 12 months, it is still going to be current in nature, though of course certain disclosures would be required by virtue of para number 61. So we can say in terms of the item number A, I would consider inventory. That is whether it's a raw material, whether it's a WIP, whether it's an FG, and I would also consider the trade receivable. The clause number B says it holds the asset primarily for the purpose of trading. Now, when you look at the clause number B, it's a clear-cut case of intention. The intention of the management is what? But if you look at the corresponding clause number C, it says it expects to realize the asset within 12 months after the reporting period. Now, in this particular case, you can say there is a thin line of distinction between the clause B and C. Because in clause number B, it says it holds the asset primarily for the purpose of trading. And then in clause number C, it says it expects to realize the asset within 12 months. I very clearly remember, and I am just quoting, from my book as well, which has also been clarified by the Institute. There is an example which they've taken wonderfully well, and that is with reference to security. Let's say, for example, a company makes an investment, then in that particular case, which clause am I looking at? I'm looking at the clause number B, and I'm also looking at the clause number C. Now, if the intention of the management is very clear that the investment is primarily held for trading, then I would get covered in clause number B. But if the intentions of the management is not very clear, then you need to see that are you going to realize this investment within 12 months from the end of the reporting period, then it becomes something which is covered under clause C. So that means for an investment, you would look into the clause B, is the intention of the management clear? Or if the clause B is silent, then you go to the clause number C and evaluate the data. But let's say, for example, if you're looking at items, let's say a loan recoverable in the balance sheet, we would look into the application of clause number C directly, that what is the expectation of the management, that are they going to realize that loan within a period of 12 months or not. So what I'm indirectly trying to say is that, the nature of the asset would be a deciding factor to consider that am I looking at clause A, B, C. D is pretty clear because the clause number D is talking of a cash and cash equivalent. So we can undoubtedly say that when you're looking at the clause number A, my mind is working on inventory. My mind is working on a trade receivable. When I'm looking at the clause number B, my mind is working on the investments, but if the need be, I'll look at the clause number C also for the investments. When I'm looking in terms of the clause number C, I'm looking at something like a loan receivable, where the expectations to realize the loan within a period of 12 months. And if I'm looking in terms of cash and cash equivalents, then it is clause number D. So if you say that you are not falling in A, B, C, D, or indirectly we can say we are failing A, B, C, D, then of course it becomes non-current in nature. So this is the insight in terms of the guidance given in Ind AS 1 as far as the current and non-current assets are concerned. More would be coming on this Ind AS 1 as far as the current and non-current liabilities is concerned. That's all in this particular video. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.